I want to thank you all for coming today. I want to thank the committee for having me at TEDx, and I want to thank my parents for having me because it is my birthday today. So thank you for that warm applause earlier. But what I want to talk to you guys about today is my weekend job. So as you mentioned, during the day, I do consulting for Fortune 500 brands around digital strategy. At night, I work for and help found the world's first film festival for nonprofit and cause-driven films called Lights, Camera, Help. But on the weekends, I force people to do stand-up comedy. So maybe force is a strong word. I like cajole people in doing stand-up comedy because I'm also the creator and the host of the Dilla Dirt Comedy Jam, where we take 5 folks who've never done stand-up comedy before and make them do stand-up comedy. So we'll get to that, but what I want to challenge you all today is even stronger message than you guys heard. I want to challenge all of you to do stand-up comedy once before you die. So before we move into that heavy subject, how many of you have a smartphone? Just raise your hand. Great. How many of you are just dying inside because you haven't been able to use it for the last 30 minutes? I appreciate your honesty, a couple folks. How many of you have one of those new colorful smartphones that just came out a couple weeks ago? Raise your hands. Okay, a couple folks, very cool. Well, I don't know if you've been to the Smart Bar in your local mall lately or called in for technical support, but this is the guy who you'll find, your friendly neighborhood overwhelmed hipster that answers the phone, and you see they've actually color-coded his phones to match you guys' phones, those new folks who have them, right? And a lot of stand-up comedians, they get up here and they bash hipsters, but you know what? I love hipsters. And your fair city is full of them. I see a lot of them in the audience today. So who knows how these jokes will go over. But what I love about hipsters is just observing them in their natural habitat. So I was in your city a couple weeks ago. I went to an early brunch for me, which is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I knew this place was just the mecca of hipsters in your city because there was actually trees there that had knitted scarves on them. Knitted by an art collective called Knitta Please. Only going to say that once. So I sat down and I looked around me, and the employees were actually having an employee garage sale. And it looked like the Salvation Army had just thrown up all over the place. Everything there was stolen from your grandmother's closet in the 90s, right? You had 90s mom jeans that were cut off to make jorts that like go up to here on people. You had glasses with no lenses in them, bolo ties, the works. But there was 2 booths there that were just super interesting to me. One was a person actually selling antique typewriters. So do we need the word antique in front of that anymore? And who buys that besides some self-defeatist, sad hipster poet who now has an excuse to actually never finish any of their material, right? I would have, but I spilled PBR all over the keys. The other thing that was just fascinating to me was somebody was selling vintage silver bells. Who besides the cast of Downton Abbey needs vintage silver bells? So between the typewriters dinging, the bells ringing, I needed a drink. I went inside, past the hipster at the bar, dressed like Mark Twain, reading Samuel Clemens, got myself a drink, oh, you guys got that, that's good. Went back outside, sat down, and this lady was across the table. And for those of you in the back, I could tell she was the queen of the hipsters because she actually had working clocks for earrings. She sealed her place in the upper echelon by opening a bag and getting out her cat. And her cat proceeded to meander around the bar for the next 20 minutes because cats never actually walk straight. But then this happened, which really blew my mind. I noticed everyone at my table was kind of gawking at her necklace. And it was a tiny Polaroid photo of her cat. And these words came out of her mouth. "It's so I can remember what he looks like." You obviously take him everywhere you go. I don't know why you need a Polaroid photo to remember him. But what really blew my mind, and I had to take my exit, was she said, "You see this necklace? The yarn? It's my cat's favorite yarn. It's my cat's favorite yarn." I was done. I got on my 2-story fixie bicycle, and I rode as far away from there as possible. Well, good. So I saw some laughter. I saw some confusion from some folks as to what a hipster was, and that's fine. I saw some of you self-realize that you were a hipster, which I think is a great experience for you guys to have at TEDx today. But you know what's interesting about stand-up comedy is that direct electric connection with the audience. I could see this person's laughing, this person's not. Can't really see back in the back row, but maybe somebody's groaning or maybe they're waving at me right now, whatever it is. But humor and comedy is an amazing thing that I like to call a contagious emotion. So I can go out there and I start this contagious emotion with you guys and it spreads. That's the whole theory behind you're laughing, but you don't know why you're laughing. It's because the person next to you is laughing. Or you think that the person next to you has a funny laugh, so you're laughing at that. But it's amazing to be able to get up in front of an audience like this through stand-up comedy and spread a contagious emotion. So let me talk to you about some of the other amazing benefits of stand-up comedy and why you should all do it. The big thing that I think that you all should know about is most of the times in our lives, we're simply ones and zeros. Whether it's with the government when it's open, whether it's your employee ID number, your bank, your credit card, you're just ones and zeros. But doing stand-up comedy can really help you build what I like to call your personal brand. Imagine putting stand-up comedy on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile, maybe it's under your past jobs you've had, whatever that is. But that's going to get you noticed. That's going to help you stand out. That's going to spark a conversation. The second one that I think is a great benefit is it improves your writing. No comedians get up here and just pull the jokes down from the ether. They write, they rewrite, they edit. They work for hours, if not days, if not weeks on what they're going to say. So I know stand-up comedy has made me a better writer and a better communicator. And as I move into writing my second book, I can promise you stand-up comedy will make this a better book than the first one I wrote. The next one is therapy. Stand-up comedy is amazing therapy. Imagine getting up in front of an audience and saying whatever you want about politics, religion, your neighbors, your family, traffic, your city, past relationships, if you're brave, current relationships, and being able to air that out to everyone. Have them laugh with you, have them be sad with you, have them groan with you. Stand-up comedy lets you unravel these complex things and put them under the format of satire and get away with it. Stand-up comedy is amazing therapy. One of the last ones, enter the danger. So often in life, this is a great quote, we are afraid to take on things. We're afraid to tackle a problem or a difficult issue. Maybe at the work and you're at the big conference meeting and somebody brings up a difficult subject and all the sheeple in the room turn their heads and no one wants to solve for it, right? But by entering the danger, you're able to deal with that difficult situation, take the bull by the horns and solve for it. How does stand-up comedy allow you to do that? Because it's dangerous. Any one of you could get up right now, heckle me, wave, boo, make a comment I don't know, get up and start doing your own comedy set. And I have to be able to think on my feet and solve for that issue. So stand-up comedy helps you enter the danger. The last one, this is a great quote. Stand-up comedy gives you endless self-confidence. The ability to get up here, take you guys where I want you to go, and make you laugh is something you don't find in any other performance art. And a normal TEDx talk, I get up here, I talk, you may laugh, you may clap at the end, but I don't know what you're thinking or how you're feeling until I get a survey a couple weeks later on what you thought. Stand-up comedy, I know the minute I tell that first joke, whether I've got you or I've lost you, whether I'm funny or I'm not. So I think that's the power of it. Seinfeld has this great quote about public speaking being the number one fear. Death is second. So you would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy at your funeral. Think about that for a second. And stand-up comedy is the next level of that. You get up, you take an audience, you infect them with a contagious emotion that spreads from one person to the other person to the other person, and you take them on a journey. And so what I want to do here today is not just challenge you to do stand-up comedy before you die, but I want to provide a platform. Come find me. Here's my Twitter handle. I'm going to be signing books for you guys in the back. The slide's going there. I want to be able to show you guys how powerful this is. I'm at Dave I Am on Twitter, so come find me, talk to me. Like I said, I'm going to be signing books during the break. Come back there, sign up. I'd love to have you come do comedy with me in Austin, Texas. And I can promise you it's going to change your life. Thank you.